Hello, everybody. My name is Delazar Slit, and today we're going to be doing a lovely little reaction video. Now, what is this video going to consist of? Honestly, I could tell you, but you wouldn't actually understand what the fuck I'm saying. So let's just get into it. Anyways, yeah, as you can see on the side, our lovely person is trying to hide the evidence of what was said in this chat before we started stream. But don't worry, they can't hide anything. Just go to the original point of the video starting. Anyways, bye bye. So let's begin. Oh yeah, by the way, we're doing a reaction video too, a video called "Is Baldur's Gate 3 Full of Racism?" It's a D&D game. D&D happens to have a lot of racist tendencies. Is it a bad thing? Not really, because it's fiction. But at the same time, it kind of makes sense. I'm sorry, if we're talking about tieflings, it makes sense that people would actually have problems with them because that's not even a race issue as well. That's also a religious fucking issue as well. A lot of the races in D&D, and yes, I call them races, not species, because I feel it's more humanizing to call us a different types of races than to say that we are fucking different species instead of calling people animals. It's fucking creepy, weird. Anyways, bitch, I want this video to play. The fuck?
Someone's complaining about racism.
Okay, there you
in
go.
Baldur's Gate.
One Piece is full of racism, yeah, and the whole point is that it's wrong. As long as you're not advocating racism, it makes sense to have it in the story because it actually influences it.
It must be a day ending in Y because there's yet another person.
A day ending in Y. Bro, that is a fucking
Complaining
fire
about
line.
racism in video games. The game, Baldur's Gate 3.
Mm-hmm.
Problem, it depicts racism.
Yeah.
I know what you're thinking, but no, it's not some right winger complaining that the game's gone woke. No, it's some probable progressive complaining that the Tieflings, a race descended from someone who made a deal with the devil, are treated like trash by other races, including members of your own party, and this is somehow a bad thing because reasons.
Yeah, that
Clatter
makes
from
sense.
who I'll call the whiniest tiefling ever. Quote, the racism in Baldur's Gate is genuinely so fucking hard on me. Playing a tiefling as a
The squirrel killing game. The sex speedrun game. I haven't played Baldur's Gate, so I can't really speak completely on this. But I have seen people play it and I've watched people on stream play it. Um Seems pretty fucking fun. And let's be honest here. If you're playing Bard, you may be trying to fuck everything on sight.
black person is brutal. Your party members antagonize you, the game antagonizes you.
And plot positions you as the bad guy. Well, here's the thing, right? I know D&D lore. Baldur's Gate, if I'm correct, is the place where the demons fucking made their own little
Positions
spot
you
in
as the
hell.
bad guy if
If
you
they
don't
made their
help the
spot here.
druids calling you slurs. Well, I'm black and I'm playing as a tiefling, and I didn't get the feeling that the plot was forcing me to be the bad guy. I did get the impression that as a tiefling, I was in a no-win situation because siding with either the druids or the tieflings would make the other side resent me. But that's part of the role playing.
Like that is the thing though. It's literally two warring fucking factions, isn't it? Like people are not liking each other. You gotta understand that. And if you happen to be of one of the groups, you will not be liked. I swear this lag is annoying.
Because of what they look like. So this is what happens when you play that out. If it bothers you to play a race that's subjected to constant racism, you could pick another of the remaining 10 races.
Yeah.
Well, maybe not half orcs or Githyanki or Drow, because they seem to be despised too. I'm not sure about the other races since I'm not that familiar with the world of Dungeons and Dragons, but
no, you got a very, very good fucking thing there. Well, actually, the gift, shit, yeah, the gift as well, yeah. I know for a fact the Drow aren't liked, but that's also because they're fucking slavers. Like, they're fucking slavers, so you can't really say anything there.
some of the other races could face prejudice too. That said, the whole idea with D&D is role playing. So if you're going to be this precious about depictions of racism, you should take the time to learn about the different races before you choose.
Yeah.
I picked the tieflings because I thought they looked cool. I didn't know anything about them, but that's the fun part for me. I like discovering the world by seeing how people react to the character.
Yeah.
If that's not your jam, this might not be the game for you. Also, you have choices in the dialogue, and I suspect that you chose all the tiefling choices, which come across as hostile, which would affect how the NPCs and party members respond to you.
Yeah.
So, maybe pick different choices. I'm playing as a paladin, sworn to vengeance, so I try to respond like Batman and pick the paladin choices when they fit the role, and that affects how people respond to my character. Again, I'm role playing. That's the point. So this tweet went viral and people jumped in with a community note saying that the tieflings are half devil and evil, but that's not true. One of their
No.
ancient ancestors made a pact that infused them with the
They didn't
essence of
fuck the
Asmodeus,
demons.
overlord of the nine hells, and that's why they look like devils. However, while they inherited certain demonic powers, nothing about them being a tiefling makes them inherently evil. As far as I can tell, D&D lore acknowledges that much of the negativity attributed to the tieflings is due to how they're treated. In
Yeah.
general, they're just like regular people,
Just
complex,
that they literally have a brand of demonic fuckery on them at all times. Like, that's like basically being. Actually, hold up. Hmm. You know what? If you wanted to hear what the hell my analogy is, you gotta show up to my streams and ask me. Um, I'm gonna say that shit later on when I'm not streaming this video.
multifaceted, and capable of being good or evil. That should be apparent from interacting with the tieflings in the grove, so I'm guessing the people who made the note haven't played
Mm-hmm.
Baldur's Gate or D&D. Nevertheless, the whiniest tiefling continues, quote, like if I don't help the druid who was come to execute a child of my race for being of my race, I lose access to Karlach. I save the druids and they insinuate I'm a disease. If I fail the druid quest, a massacre of my people is on my hands. What the fuck?
That's the fucking plot. Also, at the same time, I'm pretty sure weren't these gonna be the same situations whether or not you were gonna be a tiefling or not? You were dealing with racial fucking slaughter either way, right? Like, weren't you gonna be dealing with racial slaughter either way? It just happens that you happen to be of this race. You could have been a third party. You could have been on the other side of the druids. But guess what? You happen to be on the side of tieflings. So you can either side with them, side against them, or let the world get fucking burnt.
What the fuck indeed, because that's not what happened to me. I found Karlach after I went to the grove and got into it with Korga over the little thief. Also, you don't have to help the druids. In fact, Roth tells you that if you find Halsin, the actual leader of the druids, that should solve the problem with Davina Koresh. So why don't you
Hmm.
just go to the goblin camp and save him like several druids and tieflings suggest you do? You have choices, so I don't know how you're screwing this up. Or maybe I do. Quote, I come home from a long day of
Mm-hmm.
microaggressions and masking, and then my guard is immediately back up. I should be stressed that I'm making bad decisions, not because Lae'zel keeps threatening to kill me in my sleep for having horns. And for white players, this is just fantasy.
How is that fantasy? It's like you've equated being a tiefling to being black. Or just being of marginalized. Yeah, sure, they're marginalized, but at the same time. Fucker, I'm pretty sure if a white guy played as a tiefling, you'd feel the very same thing of going, oh shit, I'm gonna die if I go to sleep. I don't see how this equates with a generator with the words Baldur Gates 3. Goddamn.
Dude, you don't live in 1963. I know you wish you did, but
Mm-hmm.
you don't. So stop it. It's just a game.
Yeah.
Lae'zel is violent. She's like this with everyone. If you do a couple of story missions where you stand your ground and fight, she gets super turned on and wants to bone you immediately. This is all up to
Baldur Gates, are you doing today Wobbler the video? Oh my god, what the fuck is this?
you and your choices. If you don't like the result, reload the last save and try a different response. Then the whiniest tiefling responds to all the interactions. Quote, I didn't expect this much traction off of this. I like this game. It's a good game. Everybody's gonna feel different. If you're white and taking a moral stance over the game that's louder than BIPOC, then consider if you're
BIPOC.
doing that to feel good about yourself. Y'all be easy. Well, I'm not white, and I'm telling you that your reaction to the game is overblown. The
Yeah,
tieflings are supposed to be victims of racism. That's part of the lore of the world. If you don't like this, if it bothers you that much, you have
don't be a reach.
options.
Don't be a
Play
tiefling.
another race. But apparently that's no bueno. Quote, y'all really don't need to tell me more about Karlach. I promise, even if I'm wrong, which still seems unclear, and she can't be locked out, it does affect your relationship with her and Will, and the racism is the point. It's super fucking unnecessary. No, it's storytelling. It's
Yeah.
world building. It's the reason you're playing the game. Do you not want the game to have elements of realism to it? Do you think that in a real medieval setting, if people saw humanoids with horns and tails who
Yeah.
smelled of sulfur, that they would welcome these people? That's what.
Hey, local, welcome back. For reference, we're watching a video over racism in Baldur's Gate 3. You came back at a horrible time.
D&D lore is planned on.
So,
So if you don't like it, play as an elf or a dwarf or a halfling. Then
be
the
a
whiniest
basic
tiefling
bitch.
complains about the clapbacks in the quote tweets. Quote, all right, the QTs are a goddamn cesspool. I never said I don't play the game. I said repeatedly, I love it. It's good to deal with racism in fiction, but doing it so disproportionately affects BIPOC. Do y'all think we prance around every day not experiencing the lick of discrimination?
Okay, somebody explain what the fuck BIPOC is this bullshit. Give me a fucking second. Let me get my damn phone out. Hold up. Bitch, that's a job. Oh shit. Wait, hold up. Hold up. Nope, that's not a job in my area. Sorry, someone I was sent a job recommendation. I was like, "Oh, that's nice." I'm like, "We want you to work against in the state of Wyoming." Why the fuck would I move to Wyoming? Hey, Afro, I don't tolerate that word here. We don't do that shit. I ain't here for that shit. This is your one and only warning. I don't do that shit here. Give me a second to actually look up BIPOC though. Oh. Ah shit, it's another group that I didn't realize I was already a part of. Lovely. Yeah, I didn't realize I was already a part of that group. Neat. At the same time, the fuck?
Yeah, I'm black and from Chicago. We don't. There is plenty of discrimination, but no, you're not spending every second of every day getting hammered with racism.
Nah,
Also, if you think it's good to deal with racism in fiction, why are you complaining? Clearly,
that is a fucking good point. Like, you think it's okay to deal with it in fiction, right? Yeah. Why are you complaining?
what Larian depicts is powerful enough to bother you. Don't you think people who rarely experience that kind of bias could benefit from playing the tiefling and seeing what it's like for people to casually hate you? This is literally
Yeah.
the point of telling that kind of story. Why do you have a problem with it? Well, the whiniest tiefling
Mm-hmm.
tells
Mm-hmm.
us why. Quote, tieflings, orcs, goblins, and drow are heavily steeped in racist
Yeah.
bioessentialist lore. Attaching intrinsic morality to race is not creative. I don't blame Larian for this, it's not their lore. But there are far more interesting conflicts that have nothing to do with race. And you would discover them if you played the rest of the game and not just
Bears.
fixated on this one section with the grove. This idea that there's something racist about the lore is just nonsense. Creators are
No.
allowed to explore real world conflicts like racism, and they shouldn't have to sugarcoat it because people are too sensitive about it on either side of the political aisle. Again, if this bothers you, you can play a different race.
Yeah.
Larian lets you avoid the issue for the most part, so just change your race. You're not locked into any skin tone or facial structure, so you can make a black or Hispanic or Asian elf or gnome or human or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
The
Mm-hmm.
choice is yours, literally. So why are you complaining? Like y'all really don't see the problem with a devil did.
Yeah. I understand that, Afro. You said you're sorry. There's no need to consistently apologize over and over again.
Something evil, and so all its descendants for the rest of the time are evil. You don't see the problem with categorizing a large swath of people as evil and calling them pejoratives based on their appearance slash heritage? Of course they do. That's the point.
Yeah.
And if they don't, they'll see why it's wrong by playing as a tiefling. That's also the point. If the Tiefling Druid conflict in the Grove was really about the Tieflings being refugees and not their race, the Druids at the gate wouldn't have yelled slurs. The Druid missing the locket inside wouldn't have threatened to beat a Tiefling child for stealing it from him, etc. I know, right? It's almost like Larian was making a
Mm-hmm.
point about how racism can play out in many different ways, like people hiding behind other issues. This is exactly the kind of story people need to see so they can understand the different forms bias can take. But here
Yeah.
you are whining about people doing that. And it's funny to watch y'all go, not all druids. So you can do that, but you can't point out that even my traveling companions, whose favor I've earned, implying that I'm good for a devil, is really gross. Y'all over here going, all fictional lives matter. Come on.
Come on now. And by saying this, are you implying that only tiefling lives matter? Because the all lives matter thing, yes, it is a protest against your protest, but also at the same time, this is fucking D&D, bro. Chill.
Again, you precious little snowflake. That is the point. Even your companions who like you and will eventually want to shag you rotten can also have
Mm-hmm.
prejudices and
Mm-hmm.
biases. And don't play a tiefling / drought isn't a solution. I challenge y'all to be brave enough to critique the media you consume. Critiquing something isn't the same as condemning it.
Matter of fact, I
I
have
know I
asthma
pointed out
thanks to
something
racism.
specific, and right here,
The
it says
fuck?
overwhelmingly BIPOC are speaking up.
How the fuck does that make sense? Afro, explain what the fuck that means.
You aren't critiquing, you're complaining.
How are these two
And your
things even
complaint isn't
related?
that they're doing it badly, or that they're missing the point, or that they're oversimplifying it. You're just complaining that the lore has a temerity, the unmitigated gall, to
Yeah.
depict what
Okay.
racism looks like. That's it. That makes it sound like you think that they shouldn't show any bias in their lore. That's insane because there are dozens of races in D&D. Eventually, there's going to be some group they don't like for whatever reason.
Yeah.
This whole thing comes.
Also, here's another thing you gotta remember. Um, one of the things I've somehow never understand is when you realize racism in D&D a lot of times doesn't even just boil down to only racism. It boils down to fucking religion as well. You gotta remember that. Like, this isn't even just purely racism. This is also religious. Like, religions alone would be fucking furious if devil people were a thing.
Across like you're just complaining to complain, which the whiniest tiefling goes on to basically prove. Quote, it's not bad faith to ask why BIPOC don't get the same level playing field in media. From character creators to stereotypes to in-game parallels to our real trauma, we are constantly misrepresented. Meaningful depictions of race does not equal forcing BIPOC to relive trauma without consent.
You consented by buying the game and then choosing the race. The fuck? Also, at the same time, misrepresent. Motherfucker, tieflings aren't black. Tieflings aren't anything else. They are tieflings.
Child, please, you are not reliving any trauma. Stop playing the victim. Tieflings don't represent any specific real world group. Neither do the Drow, Orcs, Half Orcs, Githyanki, or the Dragonborn. You can pick any other race, make your character
Explain how
any
I
race
gained
black,
asthma.
precious
Okay.
purple, or a beige bitch, and no one will say anything to you. No one's misrepresenting your fake real trauma. You're just projecting and ruining
Mm-hmm.
your own fun in the process. You have
Mm-hmm.
11 races to choose from. No one is forcing you to play the Devilkin. But that's too much to ask. Quote,
Mm-hmm.
and again,
Mm-hmm.
I like the game. I really do. Come to your own conclusions about whether or not you want to play based on your comfort. I'm not telling anyone to boycott or anything, but the
Sounds like you
fantasy
are trying
racism
to.
is ingrained into the story, and it really does get tiring. That's all I said. If only there were a solution. Wait, scratch that. 6 solutions to that problem. If only you could play as a human, an elf, a half elf, a dwarf, a halfling, or a gnome, and rarely, if ever,
Hold
have to
up.
deal with any racist
6?
treatment
And
in
there's
the
11
game.
options?
Oh, wait, you can do that?
Oh, more
Then why
than
don't you
half
do
of
that?
them
And
allow
if
you to
it's
avoid
this much
this?
of a problem for you,
Hmm.
play another game. I honestly, genuinely find these arguments to be so stupid. Creators have the right to talk about these topics, and if you don't want to hear them, then find something else. It's not a critique to just say that the game has content you don't like. You've got to explain why that's a problem, and that problem needs to go beyond your personal taste. And when people present solutions to that problem, you shouldn't just outright dismiss them. You don't have to play as a tiefling. But
Mm-hmm.
if you
Mm-hmm.
do play as one, in D&D lore, everyone hates them and most people treat them terribly as a result.
Yeah.
Nobody's changing the lore because you feel bombarded by microaggressions every day. Choose another race, suck it up and deal with it, or don't play the game. But don't act like Larian did something wrong by showing what racism looks like in the world of D&D. It's true to Dungeons and Dragons lore and adds realism to the game. If it bothers you, find another game. Try Final Fantasy 16. Heard that
Mm-hmm.
one's a
Mm-hmm.
blast. But what do I know? I'm just some guy. Oh,
Anyways,
I know what's in Final Fantasy 16. I know exactly what it's about. That's why I picked it.
I have not heard what the fuck Final Fantasy 16 is
Oh,
about, and I now am concerned, but at the same time, fuck it. Anyways, we're gonna have a lovely fucking day. I'm gonna make sure to link this video in the description, and I would like everyone to go over here and support them. Now, if you excuse me, you know what? Fuck it. Just go into the description and support this original creator. Just some guy, all this shit. I don't really care. Um, Honestly, I'm just down for that. Anything else? Have a lovely day. I'm gonna end my fucking video here, and